Welcome, dear souls who have experienced the pain of loss. In life's journey, there is perhaps no heavier feeling than watching precious things slip from your grasp. A relationship, a job, a dream, or even your health. The pain of loss makes us feel helpless, empty, and lost. We desperately want to get back what we've lost, but is that truly possible? Can we turn back time, or can we do something far greater? Reclaim our peace, our self-mastery, and our inner strength, which the pain has stolen from us. Stoic philosophy doesn't promise to bring back what was lost, but it provides a mental map, a set of spiritual tools to help you reclaim what is most important: yourself. In these moments, we will explore 5 profound lessons, 5 keys from Stoic philosophy that can help you reclaim what truly matters after every loss. The first and core lesson to reclaim what was lost is to clearly distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. The greatest pain from loss doesn't come from the event itself, but from our attempts to cling to and control something that no longer belongs to us. When we waste energy fighting against what has already happened, we lose control of the present moment and our own reactions. Real-life example. Someone is laid off from their job. Instead of accepting the reality, they spend months harboring resentment, blaming their boss, and dwelling in regret. They have wasted all their energy fighting against an unchangeable reality. They lose their peace of mind and the time to look for a new opportunity. They couldn't get their job back, but in the process, they lost their own self-mastery. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy laid the foundation for true freedom by pointing out this core distinction. Epictetus, a great Stoic philosopher, said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not. The loss is beyond your control, but your pain, your reaction, and your next steps are entirely in your hands." Keeping a cool head helps you realize that the only thing you can reclaim immediately after a loss is your inner peace and the power to control your reactions. When you accept what you cannot change, you will have enough energy to focus on what you can, building a new future. Peace doesn't come from having everything, but from mastering yourself, even when everything around you is falling apart. The second lesson to reclaim what was lost is to contemplate impermanence, memento mori. Most of the pain from loss comes from the illusion that everything is permanent. We take what we have for granted and are completely shattered when it's gone. But if we contemplate impermanence before the loss occurs, the pain doesn't disappear, but we reclaim appreciation and a proper perspective on life. Real-life example. Someone lives with a loved one without appreciating each moment. They waste time on arguments and trivial matters, believing the person will always be there. When the loved one passes away, they are consumed by grief and regret. Meanwhile, a person with a Stoic mindset contemplates the impermanence of life. They understand that every moment with a loved one is a gift, and they cherish every second. The pain of loss will still come, but regret will not, because they lived fully. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy placed the contemplation of death as one of its most important practices. Seneca said, "Live every day as if it were your last." Memento mori is not morbid. It is a powerful reminder to live consciously and appreciate what we have. When you contemplate impermanence, you reclaim appreciation for what you have. You realize that everything is temporary, and it is this very transience that makes things precious. Loss is no longer a devastating shock, but a reminder of our finitude. When you reclaim appreciation, you find your life becoming richer, and the pain of loss becomes a part of your growth. The third lesson to reclaim what was lost is to accept and love your fate. Amor, Fati. The pain of loss often causes us to resist reality. We complain, we blame, we torment ourselves, and we refuse to accept that the loss is a part of our life story. This resistance drains our will, leaving us without the strength to get back up and move forward. Real-life example. Someone loses an important project due to an unexpected event. They feel life is unfair and spend all their energy complaining about the failure. They lose the will to start over. Meanwhile, a person with a Stoic mindset also experiences that failure, but they accept it as a part of their fate, an obstacle to be overcome. They don't complain, but use reason to analyze the lesson. They don't lose their will. They use the very failure as motivation to start a new, stronger project. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy teaches us that everything that happens has a purpose, and every obstacle is an opportunity to practice virtue. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." When you love your fate, you no longer see loss as a failure, but as an indispensable part of the journey. You don't resist what has happened, but use the very loss as fuel. You reclaim your will to overcome, to grow, and to find a new path. This acceptance becomes a solid foundation for an unbeatable will, helping you reclaim your self-mastery and inner strength. The fourth lesson to reclaim what was lost is to focus on virtue, not outcomes. When we lose money, fame, or relationships, we often feel our self-worth has diminished. We think we have lost everything. But for a person with a Stoic mindset, those things are just indifference beyond our control. What we can never lose is our virtue, our character, wisdom, justice, and courage. Real-life example. A businessman fails and loses all his wealth. He feels like a complete failure, having lost all his worth. But a person with a Stoic mindset would see it differently. They know they haven't lost their honesty, their hard work, or their resilience. They still have the wisdom to learn from mistakes, the courage to get back up, and the integrity to rebuild trust. They know their value is not in money, but in who they are as a person. Philosophical analysis. Stoic philosophy considers virtue as the ultimate goal of life. Happiness doesn't come from what you possess, but from living a virtuous life. When you lose external things, you haven't lost your core value. When you focus on virtue, you reclaim your self-worth. You realize that your value doesn't depend on impermanent things. When you lose money, you can practice courage. When you lose a relationship, you can practice wisdom to learn from it. Every loss is an opportunity to demonstrate and practice virtue. When you focus on virtue, you reclaim your true self-worth, and that is the most important thing. The fifth and final lesson to reclaim what was lost is to turn obstacles into opportunities. A loss is not an end, but a comma, a turning point. It forces us to change, to adapt, and to find a new path we might never have considered. It is in those moments that we reclaim our creative power and our ability to reinvent ourselves. Real-life example. An artist loses their sight. Instead of sinking into darkness, they learn to create art using their other senses by experiencing the world more profoundly. They not only reclaimed their career, but also created a unique, more profound style of art. The loss forced them to be creative, to find a new path that no one could have imagined. Philosophical analysis. This is one of the core principles of Stoic philosophy. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote that every obstacle is an opportunity to practice a virtue. Loss is not a tragedy, but an invitation to be creative. When you lose something, you reclaim your creative power. You are no longer bound by old patterns, but are free to explore new possibilities and solutions. Loss forces you to see the world from a different perspective, to discover your hidden strengths. You reclaim your self-mastery, your resilience, and your inner wisdom. And that is how you not only reclaim what was lost, but also build a new life that is stronger and more meaningful. Dear friends, The lessons from Stoic philosophy do not promise to bring back what was lost, but they promise self-mastery, an inner peace that will help you overcome every pain of loss. Remember, loss is not an end, but a new beginning. The important thing is not what you lost, but who you become on that journey. Seneca said, "Life, if you know how to use it, is a great gift." Where will you begin your journey to reclaim what was lost? Will you distinguish what you can and can't control? Contemplate impermanence, accept your fate, focus on virtue, or turn obstacles into opportunities? Share your reflections and feelings in the comments below. Thank you for joining us. May you always find peace and profound tranquility within your soul, mastering your own destiny through mental self-control.